Hey everybody, welcome back to another Thingamajigger Thursday here at Two Sagers, where we go over unique and uncommon tools. Alright, so I think I might actually be getting close to the end of weird tools, or at least my show, because some of these are getting really hard, if not impossible, to find information on. We'll just start with the easiest one. This is a KD Tool 1708 stud extractor. You basically just get it set up so that when you turn left, this cam in here rotates into the slot. So you take, whatever stud, get it located on top of it, and as you turn it to the left, it grabs onto it, and the harder you turn, the harder it grabs. You just use a 1/2-inch ratchet, breaker bar, whatever. This is that old wizard. All right, that's it for that one. Nice work on that, and we did have guesses for all but one. This one here, we'll do this one last because of that. All right, so moving on is this little gadget here, an old school GE electronic tubes 4-way wrench. Now, I was not able to find the specific information on this particular one, but electronic tubes, back in the day before we had transistors, tubes were used to amplify weak signals, rectify AC to DC, or I think that's the way it goes, and then as switches. So since then, we now have transistors, and transistors do all of those things much faster, much more efficiently, so on and so forth. I wish I could give you a pamphlet or something on this bugger, but I honestly just couldn't find anything. So anyway, that's what it's for. Again, I don't know exactly how they would have used this other than just as a handy little 4-way wrench. So, all right, up next, this bugger here. This one didn't have any writing on it whatsoever, but this is just a water tap key. Meaning, spigots and such that are outside that you don't want the general public turning on or off, you would have something like this for, maybe, or even like in a school or a mall, whatever, wherever. Now, just keeping in mind that something like this is just keeping honest folk honest, because anybody with a small wrench or pair of pliers would be able to manipulate that spigot anyway. All right, so up next is this funky little claw doodad dealio, and this is a portable repair vulcanizer. So back in the day, before we really got into using tubeless tires on basically everything, everything had tubes. Cars, motorcycles, bicycles, everything had a tube in the tires. And you could patch, do a standard patch, and I'm sure everybody's seen those little kits, like right here. But this was more of a permanent fix by vulcanizing rubber onto the tube. And these would come with a kit of vulcanizing patches. On one side, it would be a layer of rubber, and on the other side of this patch that would get clamped in here, inside or on top of the tire that needed repairing, or the tube that needed repairing. You would clamp it down, peel back a part of the top of the patch, light it on fire, and it would sizzle across the top of the patch and vulcanize the rubber in the patch onto the tube. This is a model B286 Shaler brand. These aren't really used anymore, but it's just kind of a cool wall hanger. Now on to the real bugger of the day, this here. So I'm going to give you all a couple close-ups and try to get it even closer up with the video editing software. Symbol here, followed by SOS, then on the other side it says 464, or 474, sorry. Now, best I can tell, that symbol that I'm trying to show y'all looks something like that. So I've basically turned the internet upside down trying to figure these out, and I've narrowed it down to what I believe are 3 possible uses of this tool. My leading theory right now is a blasting cap crimping tool. From this one probably is from the late 1800s. So this is something I didn't know. Mr. Was it Alfred Nobel, the guy for the Nobel Prize, Mr. Nobel, he actually invented dynamite, and to ignite dynamite you need a blasting cap. Well, I guess you don't need it, but the way most mining exercises go, you use, not exercises, but the process, you use your fuse along with a blasting cap that is punched inside of the stick of dynamite. You would use a tool like this that crimps down to an exact size to crimp the the blasting cap onto the fuse, and that's the closest I can come up with. Now SOS, was it service of supply, I think is what that stands for. So back in 1942, I believe it was, the US Army came up with this service of supply, and then in 43 they changed the name to something else. But anyway, they didn't like the term supply. Federal services, or I don't know, something like that. Services of supply. I think that's what SOS stands for. It wouldn't be in English letters if it wasn't either from the US or from, you know, Britain, Europe, that kind of a thing. Not Europe in general, obviously, but, you know, England, Scotland, whatever, using the English language. This was definitely a cast tool. You can see all the casting marks in it. But casting has been going on for thousands of years, so that doesn't really help me date these. But compared to other blasting cap crimpers that I've seen, these look much older and much more rudimentary than those. Again, I don't know for sure. Now, Bacon had left a comment about how he's kind of waiting for the ATF to show up at his door for doing all the research like I have been doing. And I swear I've been thinking the same thing for a week straight, because I can't tell you how many places I have typed in dynamite and explosives and blasting caps and old school stuff like that, and holy crap. So my other two theories right now are some sort of rivet pliers, you know, kind of like blacksmith rivet pliers where they can hold a rivet here and, you know, maybe, I don't know. And then caulking tongs, kind of like that wrench we had, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. Caulking meaning the spikes on the bottom of a horseshoe. So these could be used to grab onto, twist, turn, install, remove, that kind of a thing. But I'm still guessing that they are blasting cap crimpers. Now, most more modern blasting cap crimpers, they actually have a set of cutters in here as well. So you can cut your fuse line, then put your blasting cap on with one tool. Now, I did find another tool on eBay, Fleabay, that has the SOS written exactly how this one is written. Here's a photo of it, and I actually just went ahead and bought it because I think it might be a matched set. Maybe that one is for the cutting of the fuses. Maybe I'll have better luck researching that one, which will lead me to this one. Yeah, I've checked hundreds and hundreds of logos, and I can't find anything that looks similar to that at all. Now, maybe part of this is just worn out too far. I swear Google Image is getting dumber with the implementation of AI. But that's where we are on those. I'm gonna set those aside until I get that other pair, and we'll try to compare them and see if there's any similarities. All right, moving on to next week's mystery tools. I've got 3 for you here, and I've already attempted looking these up. One of them I know for sure, and the other 2 I do not. So we'll start off with this one here. I couldn't find any writing or stamping, nothing. There is a little spring in there. That's it. Number 2. It's got this little slide on here. I really have no clue if this is supposed to be that way or this way, or I don't know. Okay. Now, number 3. All right, so there are your mystery tools for next week. For those that are new to the channel, if you got any guesses on what any of these are, throw something in the comments. And if I can figure out what they are, we will go over them next week. Well, either way, we're going over them next week. If I can figure it out, I'll let you know what they are. And one last thing for today, just going over one of my favorite tools. I don't think I've shown this one before. This is a Milwaukee 6 or 7 or 8-in-1 or whatever they call them screwdriver. If you do any sort of electrical work, I know for me, this end of this tool, the screwdriver, is really great because I have a square D, come on, focus. I have a square D fuse box, and square D really likes these funky little, you know, I don't even know the name of that drive pattern, but they really like that, and this is a really handy screwdriver. It also has the large and small Phillips and straight slot on the other side. And it's just a really handy screwdriver to have in my bag. This is my electrical bag here. That's where this guy lives. And I find myself grabbing this in those Milwaukee stripper pliers, that strippers, the most out of that bag. Theoretically, these are supposed to be 14 gauge wire hook makers, which I have never used, and a wire stripper built into it. Come on, which I never use either. So there you have it. Appreciate y'all swinging by. Please hit some buttons down below if you like this kind of stuff. Have a great weekend. We will see y'all next Thursday.